Hello, classmates. The topic of my research for projects 3 and 4 deals with the Academy's role in miseducating and brainwashing Black students from their first days of pre-primary school all the way through graduation at the college university level and beyond. As fate would have it, this topic is a logical and organic extension of my Project 2 essay titled Teacher, Don't Teach Me Nonsense, which unintentionally evolved into an expression of my disdain for the curriculum at Marymount University. Before I really decided to take up the subject of brainwashing and miseducation for this project, my very first cursory search of the database rendered Jerome Morris's article titled Malcolm X's Critique of the Education of Black People. Being a soulmate and student of Malcolm X and the philosophy he espoused, I look forward to what this article might have to say. And true to Malcolm's legacy, the author did not disappoint. This was my signal from the spirits to proceed with what was heavy on my mind. In fact, each of the articles I found using the ProQuest database were on point in examining the psychological onslaught of the U.S. miseducation system against the descendants of African people, captured, stolen, and consigned to many centuries of bondage, oppression, and genocide. Those other articles my search of the database returned were Beyond Mediocrity, The Dialectics of Crisis in the Continuing Miseducation of Black Youth by Brian Lazinski, and Fresh Out of School, Rap Music's Discursive Battle with Education by Wayne Au. Each of these sources were scholarly articles published by the Western Journal of Black Studies, based at Washington State University, Harvard Educational Review, and the Journal of Negro Education, based at Howard University, respectively. Each of the sources complemented the others beautifully, although each author confronted racism in academia from different perspectives. Morris's article discussed the Academy's brainwashing of Black students using Malcolm's own words from speeches, quotes, books on Malcolm, and Malcolm's autobiography on how the United States' never-ending attack on Blackness is coordinated through its educational system. Morris makes the case that Malcolm X's intellectual prowess qualifies him to be studied, emulated, and his philosophy on education implemented in the curriculum of mainstream education. Lazinski, considering himself an intellectual activist from what he refers to as a Du Boisian perspective, wrote his article attacking the conspiracy to destroy Black people through this same system. Beyond Mediocrity picked up from where Malcolm X's critique left off and attacking the miseducation system by examining the so-called crisis of the so-called achievement gap. He shows how the achievement gap crisis is yet another historic farce perpetrated by the United States in its consistent 400-year attack on Blackness. Wayne Au confronts miseducation from a hip-hop perspective, using the artistry of music lyrics from songs by rappers who decry the U.S. miseducation system. He contends that the discourse of rap music as a distinct way of life of your generation, this generation, is at very serious odds and indeed in cultural war with the dominant discourse of the so-called education system. The evidence used to support the basic claims of each of these articles is well documented and has been the topic of scrutiny by many scholars of note for at least 100 years. In fact, the sources my sources used were the very first thing I viewed and analyzed before considering their articles. Analyzing sources is a habit I took up when I first started learning and teaching myself the study of history and deep knowledge. So it was the reference list of these authors that captured my attention before going to the next level of doing a thorough examination of the source materials, which took over a week to complete. For your curiosity, analysis, and feedback of my presentation, I included the source articles along with my Project 3 Evaluative Bibliography and Project 2 essay submitted for this course, as well as a transcript of this video presentation. I think you will find the topic very enlightening as the evaluative bibliography is packed with information. I welcome your questions and look forward to your responses. I hope the information from this topic will spark your curiosity to learn the history of how brainwashing and miseducation came to be the primary function of the U.S. educational system to keep Black people in particular the permanent underclass of this racist society. I hope you find my responses to your presentations helpful. Thank you for watching my presentation and best wishes with your studies.